Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I'm excited to be back working on the new Roxy Journal of Stitchery treasure hunt. So we got our prompts last night, our first prompt, and it was funny, we were in a little group live chat as part of the daily stitch along that I'm doing to create a fabric dictionary of stitches, and a little bit more about that actually later on because I've had a fun idea. And we were chatting away and someone happened to mention that Rachel's video had just gone up with a prompt, and all the excitement, all the buzz amongst the group was, what's the prompt? But we said no spoiler alert, so we chatted around until we'd finished doing our little stitch along and then headed off to watch the video. So the prompt that we've got is initials or monogram. Essentially something with either one or more initials in it. So I've got a few ideas. Now, those who've been watching my videos would know that I'd come up with 3 different colour schemes for mood boards for potential treasure hunt theming. Now, because I've been working on some other projects while we've kind of been transitioning from the previous Roxy to the current one, I've actually had some fun ideas about how I might want to merge the projects together. So I have this idea that I would like to take what has been the work I've been doing on the stitch along and to create a fabric dictionary of stitches, and I'm thinking I'm going to turn that into a treasury of stitches. And as part of that, I'm going to incorporate the prompts that we get as part of the treasure hunt into that treasury of stitches, because when that the prompt of the monogram or the initials came up, it occurred to me that we'd already actually done a monogram, an initial, because as part of the stitches we're doing them A to Z, and so we'd already done all our A stitches, which you can see here. They're not yet stitched into the book, which is actually good because it gives me some flexibility now to think about how I'm going to put the little fabric book together. And then we'd made a title page for each of our stitchery letters. So far we've done all of the stitches in A, and we've moved on to stitches in B, and we've been having a great time with blanket stitch. So we'll need to be doing a letter B title page soon. So I thought, what a perfect opportunity. Let's do a letter B monogram, decorative monogram. Let's use one of the letter B stitches, because that's the whole idea with each of the title pages, that we'll use the stitches that we've done with that letter. So this one has all of the A letter stitches that we learned integrated into it. And so for the monogram, I'm thinking I'll use just the basic backstitch, but well, it's not entirely my variation. Other people do it. There's 2 different types of backstitch. Lots of people don't know that. And there's a backstitch that works particularly well for slow stitch because it gives you a nice flat surface on the back. So there's a whole video on that, which I'll link in the description in case you want to chase that down. And I'll be using backstitch around this one. But then what I'm planning to do is to then add in some of our other letter B stitches around the outside. But the focus for this video will be working on this letter B. So what I did was I did some hunting around on the internet and found a decorative letter B that I really liked the look of. I printed it out just on my Epson printer and just got it to the size that I wanted. So I wanted something that's going to match the pages that I'm going to have in my dictionary of stitches, or treasury of stitches as it's now morphing into. So this would fit nicely on a page. And then what I did was selected out some fabric. And I chose this fabric because it's got gorgeous swirls which really remind me of the design. And I took as my sort of inspiration for the colour scheme this beautiful bit of toile that I actually was sharing in a video last night. It was a package I'd got from the lovely purveyor of Reclaimed Textiles a while ago, but I hadn't done a video and I hadn't actually properly even looked through all of the lovely goodies that I'd got in that last stash from her. So kind of taking my inspiration from this. I was even thinking whether I would kind of integrate this into the design, but I want it to sort of, stand alone, and because I want to then do the other decorative stitches around the outside. So I'm going to keep this close by. And once I had the design and the fabric that I wanted to use, I then just stuck my fabric down against the piece of paper, which was a full A4 size bit of paper, and I just used some double-sided sticky tape for that purpose. And then I put it up against the window, stuck it down against the window, and that's how I got the design onto here, and used my friction marker in blue. That way, if any of the blue for some reason doesn't erase, it erases when you apply heat to it. But because I'm planning to use blue thread, it won't be a problem. Now, I took some liberties when I was transferring the design over. If there were a few things I didn't quite like about this design, I just did them myself on top of the design. So there was some things like I wanted the bee to go all the way through, see where there's those diamonds. So I just extended my bee out so it's a bit thicker at the band. So that's a great thing. You can add your own touches and make it unique. Now I'm just going to use one of these, a little needle that's nice and pointy. And I'm thinking I'm going to use this lovely navy DMC cotton perle thread. Got my little stalk scissors. Now in the design, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but there's actually two different blues. There's a darker blue and then there's a lighter blue for the flower element. So I think I might, see if it looks good if I do that in a different blue, which might be this one or could be this one. So I think I'll start first of all with the outline of the dark navy blue. And I guess, part of my reason for using backstitch is that I just want to sort of show, because I know we've got a lot of beginners starting out with us. You can do beautiful work even using the most simple stitches. But if you are wanting to expand your stitch repertoire, along with a bunch of us who are doing this project, you can join our stitch along. You can also join our little community chat that happens at 10 p.m. every evening. When the video is playing, and we've got a bunch of lovely ladies that join most evenings, so that's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to start over in this corner. You could start anywhere you want. I've just put a little tiny knot on the end of my thread, and I'm just going to start the process of backstitching. And so I use the forward and backwards backstitch motion, but as I said, I'll link a video below where you can see the two different techniques for backstitch and which one's my preferred technique. So I hope you're all having a great day or a great evening. It's always funny when you're chatting to people all around the world and sort of, someone's just having their breakfast muffin, someone else is partway through their morning, someone else is in the afternoon, and I'm about to go off to bed. That's the way it usually rolls with our live chats. And yet we're all linked up through our love of stitchery and through our love of this fantastic adventure that is the Roxy Journal of Stitchery. Yeah, I think I fell down a bit of a rabbit warren of all the different sort of monograms and the history of them, and ciphers as well. So that's another type of I guess, monogram or symbol. And how far back they go as well, back to Egyptian times, which is interesting. That's my needle making that funny noise, not me, just clarifying there. So I can't wait to see what everyone else is going to do. There's already people that have already posted their monograms in the Facebook group, some very speedy folks. Alas, I had to do the working day first and then get into the fun. So I won't make you watch the entire stitching process. I'll just stitch for a bit, and then in fact I'll have to go down at some point and have some dinner. The boy is making some lovely bolognese for dinner, which will be delicious. Lots of vegetables to go in that. Oops, I think there's a tiny little gap there. I'll just fill it in. It's a good thing with backstitch. It's very forgiving. And if you're using a crochet sort of weight or a perle thread, yeah, it's got a nice thickness to it. If you're doing a smaller monogram, yeah, you might want to just use a couple of strands of embroidery floss, but this is a decent size. And the design doesn't have too many sort of small elements on it, so I think it should be okay. Just trying to get my needle to come out in the right spot. Doesn't want to come out there, I'll just go forward and come back. And yeah, when you're using a thicker thread, you want your needle to have a decent sized sort of eye on it, so that the thread's not getting too much drag on it as it passes through the fabric. So yeah, it's great to see so many new people joining the this 4th volume of Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. So I've already seen some new names pop up in the video feed on YouTube. So already checked a couple of the videos out, and I'll be eagerly checking the others out tonight. And I'll always leave a comment and yeah, leave a like to give that support. That's yeah, just so lovely when you're kicking off, or even later on as well. It's just so nice when you get comments. I know there's a lot of people that might watch on the TV where I don't think you can comment, but some people have been so lovely to sometimes just jump onto their computers or their other devices just to leave a comment, and it really means a lot to those of us who are creating and sharing. Otherwise, it sometimes feels like you're just sort of, yeah, when you're in here filming in your room, you're like, I'm just talking to myself, talking away. So it's Thursday here, almost the weekend. On that slide into the weekend. Fridays always fly by at work, and so yeah, before I know it, it will be the weekend with lots of stitching time. I'm taking part in the Great Big Little Stitchery Swap that Annie Claxton, Arty Farty Annie, is hosting. So I've got massive stitching to do on the weekend for that. 1 square's gone off this week and another sort of 19-20 squares to go. But I'm going to take my time with them and really enjoy the process of creating them. Because that's what slow stitch is about, actually enjoying the process. It's not about being on deadline or schedule or rushing or any of that. I was just having a look at my design and counting the number, because I always prefer to have odd numbers of things, but yeah, there is a fifth little dinosaur. Well, they almost look like little dinosaur scales, I reckon. So I've still got to work out which of my other colour schemes I'm going to do for the treasure hunt as well, because this will be one piece, but it's because it's integrating with an existing project. I'm still planning to do a wall hanging, and I think I'm going to go with my Burgundy Bonheur, which is burgundy and cream and gold, with French theme. That's the Bonheur, which means happiness in French, and it's a lovely colour scheme. It's really rich and lovely. So I'm going to do a couple of French knots. I know they're not backstitch, but I'm just going to do the French knots to get my little dots in the middle, even though in the design they're actually slightly more like little dashes down. But I'm going to put a couple of French knots in. But we did use French knots actually in the middle of our pinwheel, one of our stitches as part of the bees. We use a French knot, so I'm going to take poetic license and include them here too. And then I've seen someone else is taking part in the treasury, in the treasure hunt, and they're doing a little book of lacy stitches-y things, so that's lovely. I just love how we all have similar ideas but different takes on them, and it's just so lovely to yeah, to watch the process unfold. I was actually sort of thinking, how am I going to keep all my projects going and not sort of inundate with videos? But I figure if I can merge some of my projects, then that will that will be great, and people will get a bit of a flavour of other projects. If they're just watching the Fabric Dictionary of Stitches, well, they can get a bit of a flavour of the Roxy project, or vice versa. And the idea, with the sort of stitch along, the stitch a day, is just to gradually build up our repertoire, get us out of a bit of a rut of the same stitches, and just, give us some fun to play around and experiment with new stitches. And because we're just working on little scraps of fabric, if you make a boo-boo, it's no big problem. So likewise with this project, even with my wall hanging, I'm thinking I'll just work on smaller bits of fabric and then plan to attach them onto my bigger wall hanging canvas. I've still got to actually buy the frame that I'm planning to use from IKEA, which is a nice inset sort of shadow box style frame. And I've got to see exactly what the dimensions are within that inner frame area when I get that. But I also just want to kind of see what direction we're heading with the prompts before I commit to the exact sort of assembling of it. So it may well be we get quite a ways in before I start to assemble it, or maybe I'll even work on all the pieces and then have a draft assembly, but not kind of stitch them all into place until the end. I'll see. Because that's what I did with the Journal of Stitchery, and it was great because I was kind of able to create some little narratives within the two wall hangings that I did, and sort of sequence the pieces in an order that worked tonally, but also in a little sort of story as well. So I'm going to do this little swirl that's up here. I do love the combination of blue and white together. It's a very classic combination. And in my burgundy piece, I'll get to do some sort of red work styling as well, which will be great. So I'm just using the hoop one. It helps when I'm filming, just to keep it all sort of within scope, but it also just keeps the fabric nice and taut, so I'm not having to constantly lay it down on the surface to make sure it's not sort of ending up bumpy. This is just a little cheapy embroidery hoop that I got from Kmart, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on your embroidery hoops, especially if you don't use them all the time. I do a lot of just freehand stitching because sometimes the embroidery hoop frame just sort of gets in the way more than it helps, hinders more than it helps. But I do find backstitch, it is so relaxing. Especially when you're following a design. It's like when you buy sort of a pre-printed design, but this is a lot of fun because it's actually getting to use. I'm just thinking where I'll go next. We've kind of been working in that area. Whether I jump down, I think I'll just keep following the curve around. So I'll just, how far forward? I might just thread, just so I don't have loose threads at the back. I'm just going to thread myself at the back through a stitch, and then I'm going to pop out where that one continues around. Just to keep it neat and not have loose hanging things on the back. Oops. Just snared the thread with my hand on the back. Flicked out. So yeah, there's lots of great free resources for monograms. There's encyclopedias, historic encyclopedias of monograms that are available. Lots of great things on Pinterest, libraries, various library sites, New York Public Library, Boston Library, and others have resources. So yeah, you don't have to buy anything. You can find great things for free, and then you can just make your own tweaks to them as well. Because I'm thinking for the monogram that I do on my Burgundy Bonheur piece, I'm going to probably do the 3 initials of my name, so CJO, and I found one that I don't think's got a J in it, but it looks like it almost is a J. So I'm thinking I can just do a bit of tweaking, and I'll then have a monogram that looks like it's custom made for me, and it will go with the fabric that I'm planning to put it on. It's so peaceful that I just find myself going quiet, almost like into a little meditation. Stitchery as medication. It's a bit of a sedative sometimes, isn't it? Just puts you into a nice state of mind. One of my lovely subscribers today was saying, yeah, Stitchery's a good medicine, or something along those lines. Definitely good for us. I was a bit worried last night with the new prompts out. I was thinking, oh, am I going to be awake all night just thinking of ideas? But no, I managed to have a good night's sleep, not get overexcited. I think we're almost to the point where we'll need to tie off our thread. So I might leave it at that for now. And then I'll just keep working around, and then maybe we'll come back and do a bit of the other colour stitching. I'll first see how it looks, and then I can come back and do that with you. But it's basically going to be just following this process, going around and doing all the lines using my backstitch. And as you can see, my backstitch is very flat on the back. It's not the overlapping version of backstitch. So I will see you soon, probably tomorrow, and share an update on this. And I'll also get started on my next my other panel, or my other creation, which will be the Burgundy Bonheur, and then I'll do another video where I'll talk about my third idea, which is another intermeshing of a couple of projects that are underway. So we'd love to see you over at our stitch along. So if you just look elsewhere in this channel, you'll be able to see when those videos premiere. But otherwise, I'll see you soon for a bit more of the treasure hunt. Bye everyone, and take care.